another episode of Borak Bersama Maybank. Data centers have been a hot topic among Malaysian investors this year. However, with the strong performance of construction stocks like Gamuda and IJM, which have strong linkages with the Johor data center theme, the time is right to start looking for opportunities outside of this space. So joining me today, we have Hussaini Saifi, a TMT specialist from Maybank Securities Singapore, to share some of his thoughts on where such opportunities lie. Well, Hussaini, data centers have been a hot topic this year because it literally provides the backbone that the AI evolution runs on. In Malaysia, we have seen construction stocks perform very well because of their links to obviously the new build data center pipeline that is coming over the next couple of years. But I think outside of Malaysia, it's less well known where the opportunities are. And it is the purpose of this podcast to also explore, help our investors understand the landscape better. Before we talk about AI, which is a component of Web 3.0, blockchain operations, cryptocurrencies, IoT, and big data were already very big and major drivers of cloud technology and consequently data center demand as well. How mature is this data center industry in developed countries and compared to ASEAN? Can you give us some color on this, please?
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Angyao, for having me on this podcast. So let me put it this way. That is how much under penetration or penetrated ASEAN data center infrastructure is related to the more developed or more evolved markets like say Japan, US, Korea and China. Simple answer is that it is around 50 to 70% under penetrated. ASEAN is under penetrated. And how we compute this is that take for instance US. It has around 16 gigawatt of data center infrastructure compared to a population of around say 340 million. Okay, so on a per pop basis or per million pop basis, US has around 23 megawatt of data center infrastructure. In ASEAN context, ASEAN has around 1.6 gigawatt of overall infrastructure. Per million pop, it is just 2.5 megawatt. US is 23, ASEAN is 2.5. So it is way underpenetrated. Similarly, we had done a similar analysis on the basis of economic size. So if you take the overall GDP and data center infrastructure, ASEAN is again very much underpenetrated.
So it's interesting that you started off this way because when I first looked at your report, the first few pages was actually written to address concerns about oversupply in that sense.
Yes.
Why is it such an important topic to actually first take in this report?
So, why I did emphasize quite a lot about this oversupply issue and why it is overhyped in my report is because when I talk to investors, there had been a growing concern that, okay, demand looks good, it's a strong demand pipeline, but at the same time, tons of companies are moving into and looking to build data center and that could lead to the glut in supply. Okay, so one of the things which I highlighted in the report is that there is quite a bit of differential between the theoretical capacity announcement versus the actual capacity being deployed on the ground. So, and the genesis of that disparity is that, they announce big capacities, but they deploy a small capacity on the ground. And the genesis of this differential is that when companies, they go and especially in the emerging market, they acquire the plot of land, they acquire a much bigger plot of land, taking into consideration the future needs. So they usually announce the capacity dependent on the plot of land they acquired. And in emerging markets, land is relatively cheap. So they usually go for a bigger plot of land. Now, land is just 10% of the overall capex required to build a data center. Okay. So that's where the mismatch is coming. That companies usually announce big, but actual capex deployment is much smaller. Now, if we just take like for instance, YTL Power, they are announcing 500 megawatt of data center build, but what is the actual capacity being deployed on the ground? How much they are building actually? It is in the range of 10 to 20 megawatts. One more or two more things to note over here is that first is data center is very highly capex intensive. So to build 100 megawatt of capacity, you need to deploy almost 1 billion USD, which is huge money, right? So I don't think that the companies are going to build speculatively, going to deploy such a capital in anticipation of demand. If they have a very good outlook of demand, then only they will deploy. Then the other part also is that data center also needs huge power. They need to have water as well. They need to have the PPAs, purchase agreements with the utility companies. They need to have grid infrastructure connecting to their data center. So data center is highly capex intensive. So I don't think that the companies are just going to build in anticipation of demand. So that's where the mismatch is coming, and that's why I say that there is too much of hype in terms of announcements, but actual deployment is small. So I don't see risk of supply demand mismatch.
So let's talk about investments right now, and in terms of how investors can best position their portfolios to capture some of these opportunities that we've just covered. You've laid out the entire value chain in your report,
Yes.
sector, sub-segment by sub-segment. Could you walk us through perhaps the three most important ones that investors should pay more attention to?
So the sectors which we identified, which will be the beneficiaries, will be data center operators, obviously, telcos, REITs, utility companies, because there is a strong demand for power to power those data centers, and the companies in the data center construction space, and companies in the global supply chain. We have flagged the key beneficiaries, the sectoral beneficiaries on figure 9 of the report, and we have featured the key beneficiaries on figure 10. We have 10 names, but if you ask me three top names, I would say Singtel is one of them. They are making big strides in data center space. Then the likes of Sunway and Gamuda and YTL Power in Malaysia. And in the tech supply chain, I would flag CSC Global.
Before we conclude the show, if you are looking to kickstart your trading journey, you can apply for a CDS or trading account online via the QR code on screen now. If you need a more personal touch, you can also approach our sales representatives at your nearest Maybank branch, and they can help you get started on setting up your account as well. With that, we look forward to speaking with you soon in the next episode. But until then, this is Singel signing off.